Jamie Dimon, welcome to the Axios Show.
Happy to be here.
So you've been running the largest bank for 20 years. You've done it through pandemics, financial crises, through political upheaval. You've built it into a colossus. We're in the house that Jamie built, your new building that opened up in August. And one of the things I've loved about you over the years is you have probably better visibility into the world in more areas of the world than maybe anyone. And you're also very candid in talking about politics, talking about power and sort of the state of the world. So I really want to focus on the sort of the future according to Jamie Dimon through your eyes. We're going to start in the present, which is you guys have this new initiative coming out, I guess, today. And it is called the American Dream Initiative. And you guys are going to fund a lot of money, a lot of support into small businesses, into lending, and into additional services to help local communities, to help small businesses, to help folks in the financial sector. Why that? Why now? Why JPMorgan?
Yeah. So first of all, thrilled to be here. I have enormous respect for you all these years. And, we've always done this. So it's not like a brand new thing for us because it's mortgages and small business. And I'll give you a little more detail. But, last year, I've been complaining a little bit I've been speaking about the fraying of the American dream for years. And I think you have to acknowledge that there's a flaw. And it's more for the lower paid individuals in America,
Right.
Maybe more than that. But, if you focus there for a minute. So we've always done these things, but we asked our team this year, we did the Security Resiliency Initiative, what more can JPMorgan do? And so, the team got kind of excited and we went through every part of it. And, they came back with a whole bunch of stuff. So think of it as coalescence. It becomes like a crusade when the company gets behind it. So we're rolling it out tomorrow. The first part would be small business. So what is that? So we already bank $7 million. We're going to try to bank $10 million. We're going to try to bring more capital to it. But more than that, 1,000 more bankers, more rural areas, more, we call them business consultants. We're going to double the amount of business consultants. We're going to try to provide them better healthcare. A lot of them don't have healthcare. So we're going to put on, the website. I call it ancillary services, data, advice, all these things. How can we help small businesses grow? I think we have, I forgot what we call it, but we're going to educate something like 100,000 in how to do a better job running small businesses. In our branches, we have Zooms. You can go on a Zoom and talk to 3,000 branches, maybe 100,000 people at one time, taking advice, giving questions. So same thing with mortgages and affordable housing. We're one of the leaders in both. What can we do to bring it to more people? Skills and skills. How do you get people making more money? So there's maybe a little philanthropy dollars there about how you can help in local schools to teach kids skills that give them well-paying jobs at 17 or 18. In fact, that camera is looking into Queens. There's a school right across the bridge there called Aviation High School. And it's a high school. It teaches you high school stuff, but it also teaches you how to maintain Cessna aircraft. And 95% of the kids graduate and they earn $70,000 plus a year. Their mom and dads make them go. It's an unbelievable thing. And that's what we need, more of that. And then also financial education. A lot of our branches in LMI neighborhoods bring people in, teach them about mortgages, saving money, how to open new accounts, all the various things you need to do. A little bit more about healthcare, both for our own people, for small business, and we call it vital institutions. So I think I mentioned 6. Vital institutions, which we already do, is we bank cities, schools, states, hospitals. How can we do more? Do a better job for them. So it's this whole thing. We're going to roll it out in pieces. We can't do it all at once. And now's the time to do the best we can and double down and make a country. The other thing was really important to me.
Yep.
America's military strength is also predicated on its economic strength. And that economic strength is somewhat predicated on the fact that it's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and equal opportunity. So, if you want to have an equal opportunity country, you need to do some of these things to give people more opportunity.
That fits into a conversation about the future, which is you definitely talk to more people, you bank more people across more countries in positions of power. Your job is to think about risk, and it really is to sort of gaze into the future. I want to think a little bit about, let's fast forward 2 or 3 years. 3 years. Donald Trump's presumably leaving the White House. You're going to have AI in full bloom. I think you and I would agree there's going to be some job disruption. Federal debt will be at, in total, over $45 trillion probably by then. That makes people nervous as hell. Like, help How do you see the world unfolding over the next 3
Yeah.
years?
So I think you put it in context just a little bit for all the people there. We still have the most prosperous nation the world's ever seen, the best military. We're in great position, and we have issues. So I totally agree with that.
Yep.
And you can't fix problems when you don't acknowledge them. The most important thing to me is the geopolitical. I mean, we need to keep the world free and safe for democracy. That dwarfs all other things. So if you ask me, having a strong economy, strong military, real strategies around this is most important. We'll work our way through AI. I think it's going to, again, in context, it's going to save lives. It's going to cure cancers. Your kids may live to 100 without all the pain and suffering you went through. And that's a good thing. It may cause disruption in the short run because it, may eliminate jobs faster than the economy can adjust to that. And then we should have plans for that. Like, we should really think through, what are we going to do, JPMorgan? What can schools do? Retraining, reskilling, upskilling. What can government do? Incent those behaviors. So I do think we can get around this, but we should start thinking about that today. And so, but I understand the uncertainty. Warren Buffett used to always talk about America got through the Civil War, World War I, World War II, the Great Depression, and always came out at the end. We have the most prosperous nation the world's ever seen, the most innovation the world's ever seen. When you travel around America, you probably read the
Yeah.
James Fallow book about what he found. I mean, you have innovation in Boise, in Austin, and Fort Elkhart, and Detroit would be a great example where cities, people adjust, and
I,
we'll be okay. And so, but we should acknowledge the problems and try to
I
fix them.
share I share some of your optimism, but I feel like running a business and sort of studying the world right now, I can't recall, certainly in my lifetime, this much risk. It feels like there's risk everywhere, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's in
Yeah,
Iran, whether it's private credit, whether it's the entire political system, whether it's debt. Am I right?
partially. I would put some of the stuff, private credit, other stuff is kind of normal risk. I do think the war in Ukraine, the war in Iran, the terrorism around the world, our relationship with China, I do think there's more geopolitical risk than we've seen since World War II. That's absolutely correct. So when we look at that, can it play out in a way that's good, where we get, I think like in the Middle East, it's possible they end up with a situation with a higher chance with long-term peace because Saudi Arabia wants it, UAE wants it, America wants it, Israel wants it, and we've destroyed, for the most part, some of the really bad proxy actors there. So maybe it's a higher chance. In the short run, it does create more risk. Engaging with
Yeah.
China, we are engaging. Again, I think we have a very good hand. We have all the food, war, and energy we need, most prosperous nation, best military. They've done a great job on certain technologies, but their GDP per person is 15,000. Their neighborhood is very complex. They have, and they've pissed them all off. Korea, South Korea, Vietnam, Philippines,
Right.
Australia, Japan, Indonesia. So it's a complex part of the world. So I
He's
tell
pissed
Americans,
off our fair share of people
yeah,
too.
we have, but we still are the bastion of freedom for the world, and
We
so
had an interview with Vladimir Zelensky today, president of Ukraine, and he said one of the big winners of the Iran war is undoubtedly Russia. I think you and I would agree that China has been a big beneficiary of our war in Iran. It is a war of choice. Are we handing sort of this golden opportunity to China and to Russia?
yeah, I would step back on that one a little bit. When you say it's a war of choice, I've heard a lot of people say there was no imminent threat.
Yep.
And a threat means that it hasn't happened yet. The bad thing hasn't happened. They've been killing people around the world for 45 plus years. They've killed a lot of Americans. They funded not just Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. They funded 30 or 40 other groups. They have terrorist cells here. They were about to get their ballistic missiles, which I think you just found out can go almost 3,000 miles now. They never gave up nuclear. They were bad. So I don't look at this
Yeah.
like, does it create all this uncertainty? Absolutely. Does it create, more short-term risk because of oil prices? Absolutely. I'm praying it ends well. I don't know everything the American government knows. I don't know, if the military has been planning things like this extensively in a lot of detail. So they know more than we do. They have more plans than we do. And I literally hope it turns out well and that somehow we get peace in the Middle East permanently. But having those folks,
Yeah.
their throat on the Straits of Hormuz and funding all these proxy wars, why the Western world put up these proxy wars for 45 years, is kind of beyond me. So, yeah, I don't know what all the facts were about why now. And I agree with you, it creates risk. And
And
it may be better for
in the
Russia in the
3-year
short run.
period,
Yeah.
in the 3-year period, that we're talking about, just looking at domestically, I think you and I agree that this is the best country ever created. We also would agree that there's nothing written in stone that the experiment gets to last forever.
Yeah.
And so when you think about domestic risk, like what is the biggest domestic risk to keeping this country rocking?
I always say that there's no divine, even America has no divine right to success.
Right.
And, we have the Constitution, which is extraordinary. That's the embodiment of values. So it's the legal embodiment of freedom of enterprise, liberty, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, equal opportunity. That's what that is. And those values are actually the things that are strong for America, including God, family, country, work ethic. I think we've gotten a little bit soft. I think we made a huge mistake in not teaching this much more in the schools. Did America have failures? Absolutely. Should we look at that and tear down what this unbelievable country's done? Absolutely not. So the real risk is our heart, our soul, our grit, our courage. That is the actual real risk because that will drive the economy. And, America's military strength is predicated upon our America's economic strength. Our economic strength is predicated on keeping this wonderful system going, fixing it where it did something wrong. But there's too much today, like just tearing it down. It quite bothers me that we don't celebrate the values and virtues, particularly in this 250th year of the anniversary. So yeah, I am worried about that. It is a troubled time, but we're going to get through this too.
You mentioned artificial intelligence. You've said you're net optimistic. You think it'll be a net positive. You're also very realistic that it's going to cause some level of job displacement. You've also heard the bigger debate. You have some of the creators who talk about this thing doing some pretty scary stuff that probably explains why the polls are not great for artificial intelligence. What is your single greatest fear about AI that it could do?
Well, I'm going to stay away from the military stuff.
Yeah.
I think but my would be cyber. I mean, our biggest risk, like here, is cyber. And, for America and even these wars, there's a cyber component to this. And I think AI these agents make cyber far worse. And so that might be the biggest one. I think for the American
population. Have you been briefed on the new Anthropic technology? It's scary.
Yeah.
Like we should be honest. They're talking about it being so good that they feel like there could be a catastrophic cyber attack this year and that there's no way you could defend it. That's crazy.
Well, remember, it was built to defend, but it's a weapon that could be used to attack. So that's why they're not going to use it to attack. And you should. I've been worried about this. I've written about it for years. That cyber is huge and it's getting worse every single year. Now, of course, America's got unbelievable cyber capabilities too. So anything that closes down part of America, you can assume will close down part of our adversaries, if not more. But I do think it makes people worried about the job part. And so while maybe in the long run, I really think some developed nations, people might be working 3.5 or 4 days a week, living longer, curing cancers, no airplane crashes, no car crashes. That's unbelievable. Yep. But if it happens too fast, what do you do? And that's why my view, like I do at JPMorgan, okay, anticipate what might be a risk.
Right.
We don't know, but not knowing and thinking it's possible, what are you going to do? So JPMorgan is going to, and we always did this, but we're going to really double down, reskill, retrain, relocate, use AI to serve a client, and unabashedly, but make sure we take care of our people. And I think the country can do that, done the right way. So
you and I talk to a ton of CEOs, you more than I. I've yet to talk to anyone who's not planning to cut a significant number of jobs in the next 2 years as a result of this. I agree it could be great in the long run, but shouldn't we be more honest with the American people that it could be really, really painful?
I think, but remember, so there are shortages in tons of jobs today. They're blue collar, but they're hard jobs. I mean, I remember going to a place that taught kids or even people who were 45 years old how to manage advanced manufacturing tools. We call it a blue-collar job, but you're basically managing a computer that manages the tool. We have jobs everywhere like that. And we need more welders, more electricians, more plumbers, and these become very sophisticated jobs. So, and then high schools, community colleges, unions do a very good job at this, training people. So I kind of agree with you. I think if we kind of get our act together and plan for this, we can handle the negative outcome. The other thing is, remember, there are a lot of things that AI will not barely affect. So it isn't like it's going to affect every job. It's going to affect a lot of jobs. What it does with government jobs, I don't know. Police, firemen, I don't know. I mean, so we should take a deep breath.
You're an optimist, obviously, but you've also talked to the Sam Altmans, the Elons of the world. they talk about like even a P-doom, this idea of the percentage chance that this ends
Well,
catastrophically.
they're talking about something else too. Like, there's this.
They're talking about the ability of this technology to move outside the control of humans and do something.
Yeah.
When they say P-doom, they're literally talking about destroying us as a species.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any fear of that, or is that hype?
I don't have a fear of that yet.
None.
I
Yet?
read this. I read the same stuff you read, and I do think you need some kind of guardrails around it. I think we're also very smart. We'll probably build some guardrails. So we do a lot of work in that. I don't see that personally, but you could come up with, Odyssey 2000, see that maybe Hal can
Yeah.
lose control a little bit. But
When you think about the solutions to this, and you think about politics, it's when you talk about the heart, the beating heart, like that's what worries you. You got to keep that alive. Like our politics is fundamentally broken. You and I have talked about it forever. You get this question all the time. I get it. Like, doesn't the country need a third party, one built on competence, that's pro-business and pro-worker, pro-AI, and spreading the benefits, that's tough but doesn't have to smack talk and make people feel like crap about themselves? Does a country need that?
Maybe, if that every analysis I've seen makes it very hard because of our system. The two parties, if you're going to run for president and as an independent, you got to get over 50% electoral votes. That's really hard to do when you got the two parties who are probably going to get 27%, a minimum 20%, 7% of the electoral votes. And then it goes to the House and they decide, and usually going to pick whatever party's in charge of the House. But I think you might see that over time.
Do we need it?
I don't know if we need it. Leaders come along that are different and change things for people, and we'll see.
People ask you all the time to run. Would you ever run as a third-party candidate?
No, I don't think so.
Would you ever run as a Democrat or a Republican?
It's hard. I'm very hard-pressed to think I should be doing something like that.
No chance
I love what I
whatsoever.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much no
But
chance.
you do get asked all the time, right?
Yeah, I do get asked, but I'm not sure I'm suited to it. I've never been in I've never been in any campaign at all. I don't even know. And then, you have to
run
go.
stuff.
I've run stuff, yeah, but I'm a banker. I'm a New Yorker.
Right.
I'm 70 years old. I've had a couple of health problems. It's just probably not me. Plus, I love what I do. Like from this platform, I can help so many things. Running for president is kind of quixotic.
Yep.
I'd have to give up this to do something else that's quixotic. So I'm not sure it makes sense. Plus, we're so tough on our politicians. We just annihilate them. And I just think it's wrong. I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah.
And their families, and then their families for, generations almost. And so it's hard to subject your family to that. And anyone who does it, I applaud, but it's hard.
Democrats are less popular than the war, less popular than ICE after these raids and shootings in Minneapolis. Like if there were a stock, you'd probably short them. Like what happened?
I think they just got too far to the left and too anti-business and too lack of common sense. I mean, when I look at things like a lot of, is climate a real issue? Yeah, it is. Did we do a lot of stuff that was intensely stupid? We did. And people know that. Did we overdo DEI in a lot of cases? Yeah, we did. And people know that. We look at, do people believe that Washington's not a swamp? Like, who on this show thinks that we give Washington another $1 trillion, that it would be well spent as opposed to go out to their own special interest groups? The inefficiency they see in the system is extraordinary. And, the litigation is extraordinary. The deficit, as you already mentioned, is too high. And so I think we made people kind of shocked. But I think what'll happen to the Democratic Party, because I speak to my Democratic friends all the time, it won't be that someone figures out what they should do and how they're going to do it and how they should say it. It'll be when someone comes along who's a leader and says, this is what we're doing. We're not doing that, and we're going to do this, which will include, the heart and soul of America, not dragging down America, not blaming successful people for everything, but actually saying, we're going to fix the schools. If we have a problem, we're going to fix them. We're going to keep the strongest military. We're going to lift up our lower paid people. Like, I would double the earned income tax credit. I think it's to be the best way to get the money into the hands of lower income people. I would judge schools on outcomes. Do these kids get jobs, and what do the jobs pay? And, if I was the federal government, I'd say, use that. It's not I think it is what they do in math when they're in third grade or something, but after that, are they getting good jobs? There are solutions to these problems, and we've messed up lots of these policies. And so it is time to, look at our permitting. I mean, it's almost a joke now when you try to get something built in a lot of states, and it takes so long. And so let's roll up our sleeves, figure out our problems are, attack the problems. And I do think you'll see hopefully a Democratic leader come forward who does that. And
We
you had that with Clinton, okay? And it isn't that the party figure out the words, it's there's a person who comes forward, figures out how they want to lead, and then leads.
It feels like an all hands on deck moment, given like the complexities and the different problems that the country has. Not saying they would run for office or what they would do, but like who are 2 or 3 people that you just wish were actively engaged in fixing America's
Oh,
problems? Like who
God.
would give people hope and inspiration based on their competence?
Yeah, I can't answer that question. I don't want to answer it. I mention the names will be pissed off. Plus, I have to give it some thought. I haven't thought that through. Look, there are people. I remind people, we didn't know about Barack Obama 2 years before his election.
Right.
We didn't know about John F. Kennedy, really. We didn't know about Clinton. We didn't know about George W. Bush. We did know about Hillary Clinton and George H.W. Bush. We didn't know about Trump before his first election. We probably didn't believe about Trump before his second election. Someone can come forth. People emerge, they become leaders of a group that take the group, but they have to be a leader. They cannot be pandering to every little part of their party. That does not work. And they have to be, they have to have common sense. They can't just come forward and say, the way I'm going to fix this is I'm going to have a CHIPS Act, but make it a jobs program. People know that doesn't work. And so if you're going to do something, do it in a way that actually works, explain it to the people. And if you make a mistake, admit you made a mistake and change course.
The anger, mistrust of the rich, the powerful seems to keep rising. Do you assume that there'll be an anti-AI, anti-rich and powerful nominee for either the Republican or the Democratic Party in 2028 when you look at the trajectory of things?
I think it's possible, but unlikely. I think there will be a lot of not anti-AI, but people saying we've got to control AI. We've got to make it work for society. That's a perfectly reasonable thing. I think if someone's just anti-AI, I think that won't work. I mean, you know how many citizens already use it on Gemini and things like that? And you use it.
Yeah.
When I read your stuff, which I read all the time, you acknowledge that you're using AI to get smarter and write things and stuff like that. So, and the anti-rich thing has been around a long time, and I do understand it because I think separated into 2 pieces. The piece that's really important is that we have, in fact, left the lower income folks behind. And I remind people who are well off that they don't worry about their schools. They don't live in crime-ridden neighborhoods. So if you are making less income and you're in a poor rural area or an inner city area, your schools aren't good. You go to crime-ridden neighborhoods, more divorce, less jobs, all the things that, it's become intergenerational. So let's acknowledge it and fix it. And all of us, Democrats, including unions, Republicans, should say that shouldn't happen that way. And the policies that created that were both Democrat and Republican. All of those policies did not work in the inner cities. Someone wrote a great article. They went back to the town or the state, I think it was West Virginia, where President Johnson announced the war on poverty, and it had like 30% unemployment, a lot of crime, and a lot of drugs, and they said in this state we've now spent $500 billion, something like that. But the same town, 30% unemployment, a lot of drugs, and a lot of crime. That means the policies didn't work, and we know policies actually work. And so I just think we have to get better at good public policy and remind people that good public policy is free. It doesn't increase the deficit to spend the $1 trillion we're already spending in K-12 and get better outcomes.
Right.
And so that's what I
feel like you're underselling the current of anti-everything, right? And particularly, you look at these polls. It used to be young people like socialism. Now Democrats as a whole like socialism better than capitalism. You're a pro-capitalism guy. Like, what do you make of that?
I think it's because of what I said, that it is true we left the people behind, and you have these slogans about why the rich caused all that type of stuff, which is not true, but there is some truth to that. I mean, if you were the average citizen here and you say these wealthy people getting unbelievably wealthy and this segment's been left behind, that's kind of annoying. Now, if you look at America in truth from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s to 2010s, Americans have been doing much better, including the lower income. Someone did a little chart the other day that their homes are bigger, they have all of us, air conditioning, more this, more that, more incomes, but relatively they were left behind. And the aggravation of your school's not doing well, not having jobs, trade closing down a plant in your town, those were real. There's evidence that those towns that lost that plant, not only did unemployment go up, so did suicide, so did depression, and we didn't fix it. And, shame on us, but let's figure out how we're going to fix it going ahead. I hate crying over spilled milk. It's not my nature.
That people are down on big business, they're down on media, they're down on government. Like there's been almost just like institutional decay. The one group of people they seem to trust are the people running their specific business. I feel like never in my life have the employees and the public needed to hear more from CEOs. And yet it seems like in this environment, I've never seen so many CEOs that, pardon the language, seem chicken shit to speak any truth internally or externally. Why?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things here. So this has been going on for a long time with this. I don't trust doctors, trust my doctor. I don't like politicians. I like my congressman. I don't like banks. I love my bank. JPMorgan is very trusted by our clients. So it's not true that it's not trusted. It's very trusted. In fact, more trusted than people think. And I think that you just said it, inside a company, these CEOs are trusted people. They're not distrusted, not distrusted by the local communities. Most of them are very pro-government, pro-help, pro-community, pro-America, patriot. Well, but if you go back in history, CEOs didn't comment on, I get asked by, of course, all my Democratic friends, you got to say something. I said, you didn't ask me to say something every time I didn't agree with Biden or Obama. But CEOs aren't used to commenting on every single policy that comes out there. But I do agree with you on this, and this is a major point to me. We, business, made a mistake by not getting more involved earlier. I do not believe that the problems of society will be fixed by politicians alone. That's not an insult to politicians. Most of the really good ones, they want help to figure things out. And we, business, kind of step back. That's what happened in Europe, where, the political leadership class became a permanent political leadership class. And I think it ended up being a mistake. So the Business Roundtable has been quite active in corporate governance, immigration, taxation, regulation, healthcare, pensions, all for the good of the country. And so I do agree with that point that we should step forward and do things that are good for the country. Like John F. Kennedy said, don't ask what the country could do for you, ask what you could do for the country. And we got to have a little bit more of that spirit. We got to be a little tougher than that. Help your government. A lot of these folks help the government. If you actually talk to CEOs, they're always going down to help their government. They're not going on TV, but they're always going down to see what they could do to make America better. And so, but I do think that we have to do a better job. Detroit is a great example. Detroit was like one of the major American cities that did not have a renaissance. And Mayor Duggan comes along with the write-in vote, a white man in a town that's more than 80% black, basically saying to people, anyone can help me. Civic society, government, business, come help me. I want jobs. I want safety. And, in his 2 terms, or maybe 3 terms, he did an unbelievable job. And that's what works, collaboration around schools, jobs. He brought in some major plants. The police collaborated. They didn't have all the same problems the rest of everyone did after the murder of George Floyd. He got the hospitals on time, the lights on, jobs going up. People are moving in for the first time in God knows when. And so, that's collaboration. People working together to fix their hometown. And by the way, that happens in a lot of small towns.
Right.
So remember, you're major media, and I'm a CEO in New York City. You go to a lot of these small towns. You guys do a lot of local stuff. They don't feel that way. Matter of fact, they don't even talk about us in Austin, Texas, or Fort Elkhart, or Boise, or Spokane. They're actually doing quite fine.
But isn't that silence coming from fear? They just fear that Trump's going to kick the hell out of them or not give them a deal or punish them.
But there may be some of that, but that
a
was
lot
true.
Of it.
I don't know. That was true under all presidents. They didn't speak up. They didn't say, I'm against that policy of this president, or something like that, generally. And I understand that. But look, maybe more should speak up. But
well, put me in the head. You're a CEO. Take the viewer inside your head. When you probably look at the president like picking on Greenland or bullying Canada or on again, off again tariffs or some of the grifting that you see on the outside, and maybe you want to say something. How fearful are you to speak the truth?
I'm not. I want I think, look, this is the important part. You can't comment on every little thing, and particularly when people make statements that they're going to modify later. So, you guys are always chasing your tails because, he's like putting out the lure out there and the press all goes running to it and they waste so much time. So take immigration. We should all be embarrassed that we now have immigration border control that we didn't have. And when we didn't have it, everyone said, well, it can't be done. It's hard to do. Well, no, actually it got done damn quickly. And we need border security. We need to decide who enters our country. This has become a major problem around the world. There's even a bigger problem in Europe because most of the people entering our country here want to be American citizens. Right. They want to work. Okay, now that we've done that, the BRT's always supported a path to citizenship for law-abiding folks. I've heard President Trump say that every now and then. Absolutely. He hires some of them.
Yep.
DACA stays, more merit-based, proper asylum, the things that 80% of Americans say, absolutely.
What is your
And so the BRT is on their, I believe it's on their site, to support that. Almost all the CEOs do. They just don't want to go on TV every day and say it, but they say it privately.
What is your single biggest disappointment about President Trump?
I don't want to say here.
But doesn't that speak to the fear?
No, I'm not afraid of it. I just think sometimes he raises some wonderful issues, that things that universities should have been doing a better job at. And, but I'm not in favor of taking away all their R&D. So it's more like that. You got to slice that catch sometimes. And,
But like tariffs or like the micromanaging business deals, you like that?
No, so tariffs. So, okay, tariffs are a very small part of our economic relations with countries. There are some unfair things that countries are doing, and it got the people at the table. I'd like to finish the trade deals. I would do bigger trade deals with people and bigger free trade agreements, which I've heard him say he would do too. So, what's the other subject you raised?
But it does seem like you're fearful. I mean, you do have strong opinions.
No,
if you would assess Joe Biden.
You got to go through every single one. So I'm happy that the government, and more the Department of War, did this deal for MP materials. If you want to build rare earths here, we have to do things like that. We give them kind of outtake agreements. Otherwise, it won't work. But I haven't evaluated every single deal they did. I think we should be very careful when government gets involved in that. But government's got involved in 0.01% of stuff. It isn't like they got involved in everything. So, but they should be careful. If they're going to do things like that, it should be very, very well thought through.
That's a question about the nature of power and this city that I get from a lot of people. You guys banked Jeffrey Epstein, but you've talked about, you guys had settlements on that. I don't want to talk about that. I want to go a layer deeper. Like, the powerful, you've banked a lot of these people, you hang out with a lot of these people. It's not just that Jeffrey Epstein was like a bad guy. He was like a burn in hell for eternity, awful human being. And people knew about it, and they still socialized. They still did business with him. Like, why were people so quick and easy to forgive his sins?
Well, I don't think they were. In 2008, he went to jail for prostitution or something like that, which wasn't considered a terrible crime of some sort. If you actually read, and one of the mistakes we made, if you actually read what they call it, the pleadings, they were pretty clear that it was much worse than that they settled here, but they thought here. And the other thing you guys should be asking is, the government knew a lot. Why didn't the government do something about it? All those years he was abusing these young women from, they knew. So, but you're right. I think someone wrote a great article today. It was more about his connections, that why all these people got together, and it was embarrassing for them, and I don't know why. I think some people, they'll do anything to be in the inside club or something like that. And introducing people. I think some people they're innocent. They didn't know. Some
didn't. But if you were in Palm Beach, you knew he was running a Ponzi scheme with these young women coming in and out, and yet people continue to do. It's so.
I agree. I agree. I think it's why people like him stay away from someone like me, because I would have been like, what the hell are you doing? And
3 years from now,
I remind myself when I learned this lesson years ago, that if someone calls me, if you called me up and said, you want to introduce me to so-and-so, they're dying to meet me, my answer would be to you, here's my telephone number, have them call me directly. I wouldn't put up with like being introduced to people by people for very reasons like that, and because I don't want to be in between, or like someone's doing a favor for someone, or sometimes you don't even, it's true. Like they're asking me to call that person, or can I bring them by? I'm like, well, why? So I do think there are clues to how you can avoid those things. But
in that 3-year time frame, 3 years from now, are you still in your gig here at JPMorgan Chase?
I don't know. I'll still be here, and obviously that's up to the board. I love what I do. I'm devoted to doing it. We've got absolute fabulous team members. And when I move on from CEO, the current plan would be that I stay as executive chairman for a while. So we'll see.
David Sinclair and others say that we're 5 years away from escape velocity. You'll start to reverse age. So if you can hold out for 5 years, you can do it forever.
Yeah, it'd be great. Yes. I do think the next generation will live to 100. without all the diseases we've had and stuff like that. They'll be very lucky.
Will they live far beyond 100? Will they live forever?
I don't know. I think it may not forever, but longer.
Do you agree with Elon that we'll one day have to pay people not to work?
I think that's too far in the future. I think work gives you purpose. Okay, so
Yes.
I think there'll be plenty of work and plenty. I think people have more time for love and family and hiking and reading history and things, which are all great pleasures. I remind people in this AI world, you're still going to have to do those things. You have to make babies. You still have to take care of them. You're still going to have to eat. You're still going to have to go for a hike. You're
Right.
still going to want to go skiing. You're still going to want to love the arts and love the science and love just the knowledge. But purpose is a wonderful thing in life, and that's what pursuit of happiness is. It's like having a purpose that you're pursuing, whatever that purpose is. It doesn't have to be business, it could be art, it could be teaching, it could be media, educating people. And so I think that purpose is important. I think if people didn't have a purpose in life, they'd be really hard.
I thought I read somewhere that you want to start a media company. Really?
Well, look, you uniquely know, because I met with these guys when they set up Axios. I would have probably funded the whole thing because of the respect they had for you. I would never have gotten involved in the editorial stuff, but we both agreed it would be bad for you and it would be bad for JPMorgan because we couldn't advertise in Axios, something like that. So I think
Would you really do it?
this, yeah, maybe it won't be this. It'll be something different about policy, but I think educating people is unbelievably important. So I put the education you get in school. I think media is critical. Media teaches everybody. The media is the great influencer. We all wake up in the morning, we read media. I read it an awful lot. But if you think of senators, congressmen, administrative officials, regulators, governors, mayors, and all of their staff. Remember, very often it's their staff who's reading you that is learning to do something, and we have to do a good job at that. And in some ways we haven't. Like I look at a lot of bad policy, it's because the people who write policy didn't do a good job and the media doesn't explain it well and kind of flip-flop and back and forth. And I think most of the problems we have are fixable. The political issues are tough, but the actual policy can be fixed. But it'll never be fixed if you don't acknowledge there's a problem. If we don't acknowledge that our inner-city schools are not doing a good job, we cannot fix it.
So there is a chapter after this for you.
Well, I'll do business people I like. I'm going to probably write a book, maybe more about management and stuff like that, and I might do one on the financial crisis. There's a lot of stuff that really people don't fully understand about what happened,
Right.
and I may teach. I may teach somewhere because I like teaching, and then yes, I might do something around a media related thing.
I'm writing we'll wrap up. We're writing a new weekly column to CEOs.
Nice. I read your first one. Yeah,
Thank you.
It was very good.
What is the number one piece of advice you'd give anyone in a C-suite?
Oh, be open-minded. Read everything. Analyze everything over and over. On your management team, make sure the whole management team knows about it. It's not like I play a secret. I know you do this, that everyone talks about everything. It's all debatable. It's all open. The CEO, have a little grit. You better say, okay, we finished that conversation. Have a great decision-making process. People sometimes think that decision-making is, I've heard everything. I go home and I think. No, it's usually iterative. I come in the next day and say, Jim, I thought about that. What about X? Let's do another analysis. And eventually you find the answer. They always say have great people around you. And I know a lot of people, they think they do, but you can see that they're not.
Right.
And great to me means they're open-minded and have fun, get out there. I mean, I'm writing my chairman's letter this year, but one of the things that culture is real, but that word is so misused. Like sometimes people think, oh, I run an open place. Every issue is raised, but you go to their meetings and people are afraid to talk. And other people, it's complete open conversation. And it's because the leader wants it to be open. Like there's nothing you can say to me that would offend me because I'm just trying to do a better job. That's all. For the client, for the country, for a community, and they know how to delegate. They know when not to delegate, and that's why I want to write about. It's a wide bucket of things. Your audience, I've made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of what I learned was by making a mistake.
Yeah.
Like acting out of anger, allowing yourself to be weaponized. Having an opinion before you had the right to have an opinion, not getting the right person in the room, not working through the issue. Jeff Bezos talks about the one-way door versus the two-way door. Better be a little more careful. Like when you hire people, they now generally, if they're going to be close to my operating committee, everyone in the operating committee interviews them, not just two people.
Right.
And so we have a talk, but what we're trying to do is the right thing we're trying to do. So management is fun. Great quote. Someone said, being a CEO would be great if you didn't have customers or employees.
The truth, brother. What's the dumbest piece of business advice you hear people give?
Have a legacy.
Right, where you be dead.
Yeah. No, it's like, just do what you do really well. And then when you're gone, people say, he or she, made the world a better place, as opposed to, I've got to come up with something unique and different so I can make a name for myself. I always say, if a CEO says they have to have a legacy, sell the stock.
Jamie Dimon, thank you
Jim,
very much.
thank you.
Appreciate it.